For the Formula Ford Festival final and all the reputation that this race has, how important is the start going to be?
Well, I've got nothing to lose in this race. I mean, I have to go for it from the start on. If I miss a start, I'll try to get in front of another one.
Are you particularly concerned about anyone else in the field?
Well, Warren is quick, Russell Ingall is quick, so I mean, there's quite a few fast drivers in there, but you never know.
This is Warren Hughes en route to a semi-final victory that gave him pole position. His form off the start line had been a little unreliable, but Hughes very familiar with the Brands Hatch circuit, but chiefly via other racing categories as opposed to Formula Ford. How much of a disadvantage is it, your lack of recent experience in Formula Ford?
It is, I would say it's a little bit of a disadvantage, not too much, because in slicks and wings cars, you really don't sit right up the gearbox of other cars because you lose downforce in the braking area and through the corners. So you don't really have to defend your position as hard. But of course, with a Formula Ford, you can just sit inches from the gearbox all the way through the corner. So that I did a couple of races prior to the festival just to get into the swing of things. A couple of Formula Ford races here at Brands, and I won both of those races. So, I got back into it fairly quickly.
Behind them, no end of contenders, some of them a little unlikely. Jamie Spence, 18 years old, experienced in karts, but circuit racing only 3 months. He'd qualified 7th for the final, and in the last few weeks has been the revelation of the sport. Jamie, astonishing to think you're here on the 4th row of the Formula Ford Festival, but you've only been circuit racing at this level for what, about 3 months?
Yes.
Tell us your way into it.
Well, as you know, before I had a karting career that went quite successful, and obviously the step is once you're 17 to pass the driving test and step into a Formula Ford, which we done around July, and we only had one test session, and my dad put me out in the first race after that, and since then we've raced near enough every weekend till now.
And that really is typical of the Formula Ford story worldwide, the sport's top training formula. Vincent Rademacher is the Belgian and Dutch champion. He'll be on row 5. Kalle Jyrkkänen of Finland a little further back. But drivers here also going for World Cup team points, which we'll update you on at the end of the race. But in the moments before the race, that air of expectation that only the festival final seems to be able to generate at this level. Goossens, no Belgian has won this title in its 19-year history. Russell Ingall of Australia on row 2. This is the final, and with a check on the grid, Tiff Needell.
The 28 cars then form on the grid for the 20-lap grand final, with Warren Hughes on pole position beside British champion Goossens, then Ingall and Hall, junior champion Morelli, Finnish champion Vealainen, young Jamie Spence shares the row with Oliver and Gavin, also with a camera, French champion Guibert, Dutch champion Rademacher, and on row 6 that young German girl Claudia Hürtgen. They await the change to green, away they go, it's a start from the outside, Goossens moving across on Hughes on that challenge up to paddock bend, and Goossens in fact has got the jump from that preferred outside front row position. Hughes is now going to have to work hard, and here we are in car with Gavin on the charge up to Druids Hill corner. Puffs of smoke, someone locking brakes up front. You can see how close this type of racing is, but Goossens has made the start. A little bit of a gap to Hughes, then into Ingall into 3rd. Hall has dropped to 4th, 5th is Morelli, 6th is Vealainen, and 7th Gavin. Jamie Spence, that's Gavin he's following. The 2 camera cars together. Spence actually having a look up the inside of Gavin at Clearways. But it's Goossens that leads the field out onto the top straight for the end of this first lap. Warren Hughes goes with him. Ingall right behind. In the background, Morelli tries to get by Hall, but Hughes is mounting a challenge straight away on Goossens. He's alongside, he's on the outside. Can he get across? Goossens brakes very late and deep, holds Hughes out. Hughes continues the challenge all the way around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. They're up the hill. Goossens has to shut the door on. Hughes still tries around the outside. He's well out wide at Druids, and Ingall's now got inside Hughes. A tremendous attempt by Hughes to wrest the lead from Goossens at the end of that first lap, and somebody already off. That's the festival over for him, but it's Goossens out in the front now from Ingall, and a gap back to a recovering Hughes who made such a tremendous bid for the lead. But it's Ingall now mounting a challenge as they start the second lap. It's Ingall right in the strips. We see here now that it's and that's 30. That's Tommy Antolainen pitched high into the air, and the culprit just hitting the barrier was Stefan Nielsen and William Thorburn. They're spinning in sympathy. So, the end of the Festival for Antolena, but Goossens out front. Hughes now has recovered. He's back on the gearbox of Ingle. And these four, Morelli's got round Hall. In fact, Vejlainen in the background has also got round Hall. So the front four pulling away, Hall being pushed back to 6th place. But it's Goossens, Ingle, Hughes and Morelli, the four out front. Really the four pre-race favourites. And here they are, starting the 4th lap of 20. Ingle goes out to the wide, cuts across to the inside. Goossens, though, counters that challenge. Ingle not able to get through. Hughes looks up the inside. Ingle has to come across, and Morelli now looking the long way in the outside. Hughes was chopped off by Ingle, and Morelli's making the most of that. He's going round the outside at Druids. Morelli tries to hold, and he does hold. So Hughes, again, having made a challenge on Ingle for 2nd place, suddenly finds himself in 4th place. So Hughes making the attempt, and Ingle having a look up the inside. Really not on at Surtees, but he's probably just trying to worry the leader, Goossens. But Goossens will be wary of that one. Keeps his head down. 2nd gear out of Clearways, up to 3rd quite quickly there. A long drag in 3rd gear, now snicking 4th gear as Ingle looks out of the slipstream along the outside again. Goossens holding that inside line up to Paddock Hill Bend. Morelli has a look up the inside of Ingle, but it's not to be. The four slot back into line as they go through Paddock Hill Bend, but again Ingle can look up the inside. Goossens must be driving with his eyes more on the mirrors than the road ahead of him as Hughes tries round the outside of Morelli. Warren wants that place back, but Morelli pushes him out wide onto the curbs, and Hughes has to give way again, and now he's got Vejlainen in his mirrors, and young Jamie Spence has come through to a tremendous 6th place behind these 5 out front. Gavin now behind Spence, so Spence must have got through. Gavin looks up the inside of Spence at Clearways, doesn't get through. The 2 English youngsters chasing the 5 favourites out front. Jamie Spence now tries to get into the slipstream of Vejlainen, and this is too far away, and Ingle again mounting another challenge on Goossens as they go up to Paddock Hill Bend. On the outside, he's got to be wary of Dino Morelli right behind him. Morelli will nip inside if Ingle makes a mistake. Goossens blocks, Ingle moves one side and then the other to try and find a way through. Morelli has a feel of the outside line and loses the place to Hughes. Hughes now getting back at Morelli. Did he hold it? No. Morelli just held on around the outside, so Morelli looking to get by Ingle, nearly lost that place. Again Ingle looks. That's not on, as I've said at Surtees, but Russell Ingle feels it's worthwhile, I reckon, to try and rattle Goossens out front, try anything unusual in Formula Ford racing. That's the way to try and make a break, but now closer than ever in the slipstream. These cars can run so close together. Ingle pulls out quite early this time. Behind Hughes, mounts a changes of Morelli. These 4 almost in 2 rows of 2. Vejlainen on his own almost behind. Down the dip. Ingle now on the inside. No, Goossens pulls across. Gavin out wide on the edge of the paddock. Again, Morelli tries the outside charge on Ingle. Hughes again comes in. So surely Hughes has got 3rd place back off Morelli this time, or has he? No. Morelli holds on to 3rd place, so Hughes keeps on trying to snick back that place but doesn't get it. Vejlainen now right on Hughes' gearbox. The front leader battle for 5 cars, and Spence not that far behind. Almost coming to a 8, 9, 10 car battle for the lead. Goossens with a pack in his slipstream. Ingle again edges out slowly from the slipstream, pulls to the left again, always trying to make Goossens break deeper and deeper into Paddock Hill Bend, trying to push him into a mistake, try to make him break just 5 metres too late is all the difference means. With a queue now, nobody trying the outside line. Morelli's tried it twice, he doesn't want to risk it a 3rd time. He knows that Hughes is ready to pounce. Ingle, meanwhile, really not trying anything out of the ordinary this early on in the final. He's probably hoping for later that he does look again at Surtees. Behind the pack, there's Spence, hanging on incredibly well. Young 18-year-old Jamie Spence. And he's only been racing in this formula since July and doing a tremendous time. There's Frank Guibert, the French champion, up behind Hall, battling along behind Spence. That's our friend William Thorburn again, this time all on his own. Another spin, but a tremendous time just to get into this grand final that's led so impressively by Goossens. Ingle, though, looking to mount to attack all the time. This time tries the outside, a variation. Morelli tries to get his nose cone up the inside of Ingle. These 5 now, a gap really back to here. Jamie Spence, who are with now, and these little 420 kilo Formula Ford chassis. They've got 110 horsepower. Oh, and pumped up into the air. That's all Moss Thorpe, indeed. End of young Moss's festival. That wasn't his fault. The culprit, who I cannot see the number of, gets away with it. But here, Spence now really holding back this battle for fifth. Oliver Gavin in the slipstream of Spence. Oliver would love to get by young Jamie and go and try and chase the five at front. He's challenging on the outside. But they start the 11th lap. The front five are getting away, and Gavin knows it. He wants to get by Jamie, but Jamie driving a race that really does belie his experience. Of course, it's a lot of kart racing, as all these young drivers have, and they know about racing. They know about positioning the car on the circuit to block the opponent behind. In fact, the only man not a karter out of these front 10 is Warren Hughes, who came straight into Formula Ford. So Jamie Spence, the gap to the front five ahead, opening up all the time, has this queue of cars behind him. Gavin Hall and Gavin trying this way and that. But all these cars, oh, there's a puff of smoke as Oliver Gavin's nose cone touches the back of Jamie Spence's rear wheels. So close are they running. Gavin again pulls out of the slipstream. That's Macaulay now. Andrew Macaulay, who's moved right up from the back of his heat, is ahead of Hall. Macaulay now challenges Gavin. Hall tries to get the pace back off Macaulay. The leaders, though, still... Oh, not on the head. Dino Morelli there. That was Warren Hughes planting his nose cone in the back of Morelli's gearbox under braking. You could see Morelli's head nod, but that's no way to get by Warren. Through Graham Hill Bend, Gavin chases Spence. Macaulay behind them. As I said, all these engines, 1600cc Ford engines, 110 horsepower bolted straight onto the chassis, which causes tremendous vibrations. But and across the grass there, that's Johnny Hauser taking that short line and coming across right in front of Lemarie, the Frenchman. This time Ingle alongside, almost at Paddock Hill Bend. Morelli trying up the inside. Did Ingle make a mistake? No, he held onto the position and cuts across to the inside for Druids. This is so close racing. 5 men, all equal to win this Formula Ford Festival. Veolainen really the sensation. The front 4 more experienced than he is, and really young Tommy Veolainen, the latest Finnish sensation, following in the footsteps of Leito and Häkkinen. But Jamie Spence, he'll probably be happy to finish 6th, really, for such a young driver, and he's going to defend this 6th place as if it was the lead of the race. Gavin, a slip of oversteer there that might give Macaulay the opportunity to get into the slipstream closer. You saw the opposite lot going on as Gavin corrected the car, but now Hughes mounts an attack on Morelli, going from the outside, cutting across to the inside. Morelli just chops the nose off. Hughes has a bit of a moment sorting all that out, and Veolainen now much closer to Hughes. That's allowed Morelli to escape ever so. So Gavin up the inside this time. He must be inside Spence. No! They made contact. That's Jamie Spence. He doesn't lift off an inch, even though he's been punted up into the air. He holds on to that 6th place. Here we can see Gavin right up the inside, and they interlock wheels, and there Spence pops over. Looks like Macaulay might get round in car with Gavin this time, and there's Spence's front wheel over the top. Neither of them lift off an inch, and they live to fight on. Goossens out front, Ingle as close as ever, Morelli right in the slipstream of the 2 leaders, and Warren Hughes still ready to recover from that moment he had trying to get by Morelli. The 3 tied together. Morelli now looks to the outside, a gap back to Spence and Veolainen. Goossens, Ingle, Morelli, as close as that, the sparks as Morelli goes across the curb. Hughes defends from Veolainen. Morelli tries the outside on Ingle. Could this be the time to move? He wants his right round the outside. He did it to Hughes, but no. Ingle counters that one. And that bit of overtaking manoeuvre has allowed Hughes and Veolainen to catch up, and it's back to the famous 5 altogether. Ingle again looks inside at Surtees. His car gets out of shape as he does so. The 5 close as ever. Morelli in, and Ingle spins. Ingle's out. Just trying to get the power on. He's on the grass. Will he get going as quick as possible? It looks like he might have stalled. Indeed, I think he's stalled the engine. He's getting it going again now. Well, Russell Ingle, the Australian's going to be very despondent at that. Spinning out at Clearways. And here we see it again. Morelli very close indeed. I think, in fact, Morelli's actually pushing Ingle. There's the cause of the spin. Morelli's nose cone making contact with Ingle's gearbox, and that spins Ingle out. Just that touch on the rear shows how near the limit of adhesion they are. So while the front people get spread out a bit, the battle now is very much for, that's now 5th place. In fact, Spence has moved up, so our battle for the cameras moves up to 5th place, and indeed we see Macaulay did get around the outside of Gavin when these two boys touched. So Jamie Spence is now defending his 5th place against Andrew Macaulay, who came 3rd in the British Championship. There we see Macaulay, a very experienced driver from Northern Ireland, who was actually racing a Swift chassis, the same as Oliver Gavin's, but has moved to his brother's year-old Van Diemen for this Formula Ford final. So as they start their 18th frantic lap, the leaders are spread out up front. This really is the battle for 5th. Goossens is now clear of Morelli and a gap back to Hughes. So this really is the battle of the moment for 5th place. Spence holding on for all he's worth against Andrew Macaulay and Oliver Gavin. Down Graham into Graham Hill Bend. Macaulay, who's come up through the field, always worked so hard to get to this position. Really a tremendous drive by Macaulay, but even better drive by Jamie Spence. There you can see Veolainen up in the distance in 4th place. And this is the battle for 5th. Gavin again wants to try and get backwards. He was leading his heat. He was right up the front in the quarter-final. He's made a couple of mistakes, but he's still made a tremendous impression on this Formula Ford final. Through Paddock Bend. Hall, there's Claudia Hurtgen, the German girl, coming up to challenge Chris Hall. So again, Claudia, in fact, is the leading runner of the foreign drivers, as it were, who haven't actually raced regularly over at Brands Hatch in the British Series. So Claudia leading all of the other Dutch, Danish and Finnish champions. And that's Morelli. Morelli slowing. And that's really a great shame for young Dino Morelli, the British junior champion, as the camera car battle scythed past him at 30s. Morelli slowed for some, obviously, mechanical reason. And the young British junior champion, really, who's done such a tremendous job. That's a great shame for him. And Jamie Spence now has on his hands a battle for 4th place. So tremendous, going on to his last lap. Jamie Spence 4th, Macaulay 5th, Oliver Gavin 6th. Gavin trying up the inside of Macaulay. One last move to try and get up a couple of places, even on the last lap. Up to Druids. Gavin really too far behind Macaulay. Macaulay not that close to Spence. I think this battle is resolved. There's not going to be any more moves, and Goossens now, with 2 corners to go, is well clear of this final. He must go on and win the festival final, surely. Indeed, on the 19th and penultimate lap, as no longer under pressure, he actually set a new lap record. Such is his domination of this final, and it is going to be a tremendous win for the young Belgian. The British champion in that Works Van Diemen Scholar engine wins the 20th Formula Ford Festival.
And a very, very popular winner for all those in the crowd who'd made the trip across the channel. Mark Goossens, 5th in last year's final, but the champion in 1991. So many outstanding performances in that final, not only from the top 6, but also from Morelli and from Russell Ingall, who missed out in the end. Tommy Veolainen battled all the way through the day. Jamie Spence, an outstanding festival debut after only 3 months of circuit racing. But Mark Goossens, he had the backing of the Van Diemen factory, but also the responsibility of being championship favourite. And he responded well to that, to win the title for Belgium. Second place, Warren Hughes. Well, he was disappointed, but no need to be.
Warren, after a tough weekend, how do you view that result?
A little bit disappointing from my point of view. Obviously, starting on pole position, I really wanted to win it. I thought we had every chance of winning it. The start is what proved crucial. Mark got a slightly better start, was very aggressive, and really gave me the chop.
Mark soaked in champagne, and deservedly so, but that must have been just about as tough a race as you've had.
Yeah, it was really close indeed in the first stage, till Russell went off. But, well, that's the festival, it's always like that.
Well, what sort of pressure did you feel under in the opening half-dozen laps?
Not that much, because he tried all the time on the outside line at Paddock, and I knew I was later on the brakes, and there was no way he could go through that. So as long as he kept on trying there, I felt quite confident.
What sort of plans do you have in place? Anything you can announce yet?
Well, at the end I tried to go into F1, but first of all we have to make sure we can find a drive in F3 and go on to 3000 afterwards.
You'll be a force to be reckoned with in Formula 3. Well done today.
Thank you.
Individual success for Mark Goossens, but it was also a team event, and Goossens' performance helped Belgium take the Formula Ford World Cup title by 3 points from England, with Northern Ireland third.